Today's lesson is 1.5, adding and subtracting real numbers. Our goal for today is to find sums and differences of real numbers. Before we actually add and subtract and do examples, we need to go through some vocabulary. You need to pause the video to write down your vocabulary, make sure you do. Okay? The first thing is absolute value. The definition of absolute value is the distance a number is from zero. Now, absolute value can never be negative. The reason is we don't count negative distances. The symbol for absolute value is these two lines with your number in between. So the absolute value of 3 would be 3 because it's positive. If I have the absolute value of negative 3, it is also 3. So your answer for absolute value should be positive because it's the distance a number is from 0. Now, opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on the number line, but in opposite directions. So, for example, 4 and negative 4 would be opposites because on the number line, they would be the same distance away from 0, but in opposite directions. Additive inverses are a number and its opposite. So again, 4 and negative 4. The inverse property of addition is the sum of a number and its opposite. Well, if I add 4 plus negative 4, I get 0. So anytime you add a number and its opposite, you get 0. Okay. So our first example is finding sums, but we're doing this using a number line. Now, on a number line, okay, if I have 4 plus 7, I'm going to start at 4, and I'm going to do this above the number line so you can see it. And since it's plus 7, it's a positive 7, I'm moving to the right 7 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I stop at 11. So 4 plus 7 is 11. B, I have 4 plus negative 7. So I'm still starting at 4, but in this case, since it's adding a negative, we're going to move to the left. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces to the left, and I'm at negative 3. So 4 plus negative 7 is negative 3. C is negative 4 plus 7, so I start at negative 4, and since I'm adding positive, I'm going to the right 7 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm at positive 3. Here, negative 4 plus negative 7. I'm starting at negative 4, and I'm going to the left 7 spaces because it is negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at negative 11. Now, we won't always use a number line to add and subtract. So we need to know our addition rules with signs, whether it's positive or negative. So how do we add numbers with the same sign? What we do is we add the absolute values and keep the sign. So what that means is if I have 3 plus 4, well, the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of 4 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. These were both positive, so my answer is positive. Negative 3 plus negative 4, I would add their absolute values. So that means 3 and 4, absolute value makes it positive. But then I keep the sign, so I keep the negative. Now, how do we add numbers with different signs? Well, with different signs, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract their absolute values. And keep the sign of the larger number. for example, if I have 5 plus -7, they have different signs. So what we're going to do is look at their absolute values. Well, the absolute value of -7 is 7. The absolute value of 5 is 5, and I subtract them. 7 minus 5 is 2. Then I look at the larger number, which is the 7, and I keep its sign. So it would be -2. So let's look at some examples. -14 plus 9. They have different signs. So I take the absolute value, so it would be 14 minus 9, which is 5, and I keep the sign of the bigger number, so it would be -5. B, they have the same sign, so I add their absolute values, so these would be positive 15 and positive 4, so I would get 19, and I keep the sign. Their sign was negative. For C, they have different signs, so I subtract their absolute values, so I get 7.2, and the bigger number, the 10.8, was positive, so my answer is positive. 8 and -17, they have opposite signs, or different signs, so I take their absolute values and I subtract them. 17 minus 8 is 9. Since the 17 is the bigger number and it's negative, my answer is -9. We also need to know how to subtract real numbers. Well, subtracting a real number is the same thing as adding the opposite of the number. So if subtraction is hard for you, right, you have another option. Say we have 4 minus 7. Instead of thinking of this as 4 minus 7, we can add the opposite. So we can take 4 plus the opposite of 7, which is -7. Now I use my addition rules. They're different signs, so I'm going to take 7 minus 4, which is 3, and I keep the negative sign because that's the bigger number. So if I have, say, 6 minus -8, instead of subtracting -8, I am going to do 6 plus the opposite of -8, which is +8. Well, 6 plus 8 is 14. So if you guys have ever heard minus a negative is the same thing as plus a positive, that's where it comes from. So let's try some examples. Here I have -6 minus -12. So that's the same thing as saying -6 plus +12, because I take the opposite. Well, now I'm adding. These two have different signs, so I take 12 minus 6, which is 6, and I keep the sign of the bigger number, which is positive. 5 minus 5 is the same thing as 5 plus -5. They have opposite signs, so I subtract them and keep the sign of the bigger number. Well, it's 0, so we don't have a sign. Here I have -3 plus -8. These two are both negatives, so I add 3 and 8 and keep the negative sign. And then D, 2 minus 11. It's the same thing as 2 plus -11. They have different signs, so I take 11 minus 2, which is 9, and keep the sign of the bigger number. So that is how you subtract real numbers.